All right, welcome to the Eric J. the Great podcast show. We got a very special guest on the show today. We got Mike from Balls of Fury Pythons. How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
How you doing? All right. For anybody out there that don't know who this is, it's a very popular person on social media. He has a lot of ball pythons that he showcased, and he shows you basically uh, the all around process of taking care of a snake from when it comes out the egg to from a baby all the way to it gets grown, feeding it different type of breeds and all the stuff that goes into having a snake and selling it and things like that. So first off, tell people where you from and how old are you?
So I am from Rhode Island and I am 29 years old.
Okay. Oh, we was around the same age then. I just turned 30 in December, so
Happy birthday, man.
well, I appreciate it. So what's the first thing that come to your mind when you think of your hometown?
Small, definitely small and tight knit. Everybody knows everybody out here.
Okay. So describe for anybody that never been to your hometown, just describe how it was growing up there, some of the circumstances and obstacles you had to overcome, just being an everyday kid there.
Uh, I had a pretty good childhood growing up. I came from, a hardworking family and deal with the obstacles that most people deal with, just trying to fit in, finding, the right group of people to be around. Um, you know, I think something that helped me a lot as a kid was playing sports, kind of helped me, make friends and find a group of people that I had a lot of things in common with, helped me set goals for sure because playing sports, definitely motivated me to try to get to the next level, and helped me with discipline for sure, and just helped me build character.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I played four sports in high school, so like it definitely instilled good values and things like that.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I played baseball and basketball growing up, and definitely helped to, like you said, sustain values and to, teach me discipline. And, it also taught me how to work with others as well, because you're on a team. You got to work together in order to achieve your goals. So I think that's important, especially if, you're going to start a business or anything like that. You need to learn to work well with others as well.
Absolutely. So, did you have a two-parent household growing up? Any siblings?
Yes. So both my parents are still married to this day. And I have one sibling, a younger brother.
Okay. So, besides sports, what did you do any other activities when you was younger?
When I was younger, so other than sports, Um, I used to sing a lot. I used to do karaoke all the time. My parents really pushed me towards music. I used to do like shows when I was like 5 years old, karaoke shows, all the way till when I was about 10. So I love music. I love singing. And other than that, I mean, I was first introduced to the reptiles around the age of about 11. So I got started pretty young with that too. Um, I was introduced to my first snake from my uncle. He had a pet snake. I went over to his house one day and he just had brought the snake home from the pet store. And, as a kid, you're curious about everything. So as soon as I seen the tank, I was like, what's in there? And he was like, oh, it's my pet snake. You want to check it out? And of course, I'm like, yeah. And so he took it out and he was like, oh, do you want to hold it? And I was like, yeah. As soon as I held the snake, it was an obsession from there moving forward. And I've always loved animals. as a kid, I used to help my dad. He used to breed English bulldogs and French bulldogs when I was growing up. And till this day, he still breeds parrots. So I used to help him with all that stuff as a kid. So I kind of grew up around animals my whole life. And I got, so after I met the snake from my uncle and my obsession began, I begged my parents for like 2 years to let me get a snake, and they were not about it. They didn't like reptiles. They didn't want no snake in the house, nothing like that. But I started learning about them and actually like teaching my parents about them and showing them that, hey, I can take care of this snake. Like, please just let me get one. And on my 13th birthday, they surprised me with my first pet snake, which was a ball python. And I was geeking out, man. I was so excited to get that snake.
Oh yeah. So when you got your first snake, did you have that snake all the way through the rest of high school, or did you end up having multiple snakes, or you just had that one?
So I got that one snake at 13. And then a couple months after that, I got a boa constrictor. And a couple months after that, I took my parents, or I made my parents go with me to a reptile expo. And I don't know if you've ever been to one or your viewers know what that is, but a reptile expo is basically like almost like a conference where breeders go and they sell snakes and lizards and all sorts of stuff. It's like at a convention center. So we went there and I picked up another snake. And then I have a really funny story we can get into in a bit about an animal that I ended up keeping, but I did have reptiles all the way through high school. And then when I got ready to go on to college, my parents didn't want the responsibility of keeping them. So I ended up rehoming all of them and getting out of reptiles for about 5 years.
Okay. So as when you became an adult, and growing up, besides your uncle, did you have anybody that was close around you in your family or friends that you met that was involved in the pipe, just the snake business, or were you just got into it on your own?
I was just solo, man. Just got into it on my own. When I got my snake, like I said, I started doing a lot of research before I got it. And as I was doing research, I was watching like YouTube and I came across this channel. He's very famous and rest in peace. He actually just passed away recently, but his name is Brian Barczyk. And the
Yeah,
name
I
of
know who he is.
yeah, the name of his channel at the time was Snake Bites TV. And I remember watching his videos, and he used to show all the different like color morphs of the snakes and talk about breeding them. And he uh, he really was the one who taught me most of the stuff I know about snakes and most of the stuff I know about the reptile industry because he basically was one of like the founders of it. So he definitely helped me a lot, and that kind of uh, motivated me to work towards it one day.
So, when you first came in encounter with that ball python when you was a kid, was that automatically your favorite snake off the rip, or did you have some other snakes that was like your favorite?
I would say the ball python was automatically my favorite off the rip, man. The only other snakes I had ever seen growing up were the ones in my backyard, and I think they're like garter snakes.
Yeah,
And I don't know, man. Just I love the ball python. Like even just the normal wild looking one, like the black and the brown and the pattern on them are so beautiful. And I mean, I thought it was just badass, man. It's a python, like just a badass animal. And I like the size they get. They don't get too big, but they get to like an impressive size where if you show someone it, they're gonna be like, wow, that's a pretty big snake. But I would say I love the boa constrictors too. My two boa constrictors I had were really, really cool. Um, but I don't know, man. I just like the personality of the ball pythons personally.
absolutely. So let's get into balls of fury python. So tell the people like when that started. When did you get serious about promoting it as a brand and with the social media and things like that?
So after I had gotten out of reptiles for that 5 years, I actually, I graduated college and I actually applied to go to chiropractic school to study to get my doctorate degree in chiropractic. And the school I applied to happened to be in Florida. And in Florida, reptiles and stuff is huge down there. Like people keep lizards in their backyard, like in cages, and there's tons of reptile stuff down there, Gatorland, all that stuff. Um, so when I moved down there and started studying at school, um, I went to this pet store one day and I seen the ball pythons again, and I was like, man, I want to get one so bad. And I ended up talking with my roommate at the time to see if it was cool with him to have a snake in the house because he ain't never had snakes, nothing like that. So I wanted to make sure it was cool with him, and he was cool with it. He was like, yeah, do it, bro, get the snake. And in 2020, I got my first ball python again, and I had that ball python for a bit, and like I said, the bug bit me again. So I started doing more research on YouTube, looking at videos, and now when I was 13, just starting out, there really wasn't that many mutations or morphs out there. Today, there's hundreds of ball python morphs, and when I saw that on YouTube, I was like, damn, I can actually make a profit off of this now. And that's where I decided, you know what, I'm going to start investing into ball pythons and start a breeding colony and see if I can turn this into a business. And I started the Instagram page about a year after getting my first ball python. And when I started the Instagram page, I think at the time I maybe had 6 ball pythons in total at this house I was renting. So I went from 1 ball python to like 6 in a matter of about a year.
Okay. So for anybody out there that just been curious about snakes, like if they love ball pythons as much as you love them, like what is the average price for a ball python? Like if somebody's looking to buy one.
So they range all the way from like as cheap as $50 all the way up to like 100,000. So you can get something
Man,
anywhere in that range.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's a pretty big price range.
So for the ones that's real steep in price, like 10,000 and above, uh, what will make them so expensive? Is it the bloodline, or is it like
So,
other animals? Like like when it comes to dogs, a lot
mhm.
of dogs is expensive because they have rare bloodlines and things like that.
So it basically comes down to a couple factors. It comes down to the genetics, which would technically be like the bloodline in the dog. The rarer the genetics are, the more expensive it's going to be, and also supply and demand. If there's only one of these snakes in existence and the demand is really high for it, you basically can get whatever you want for it if someone's willing to pay that. And yeah, that's pretty much. And also, some of these genes they're tough to reproduce in large quantities. So, if you have like a recessive gene, basically the recessive gene is like a human being with blue eyes. So, like, if I were to meet a young lady who had blue eyes, I have brown eyes, but my dad has blue eyes, so I carry the gene for it. And if I meet a young lady who has blue eyes and we have a child, we have a chance of creating blue eyes because we both have the gene. And blue is a recessive. Now, in snakes, it's the same deal. If you have a snake that's recessive, but you breed it to something that doesn't have that recessive on the other side, you're not going to make that snake off the bat. You'll have to take the babies, breed them back together, and then you'll get the visual recessive back. You
Mm.
know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, yeah. You have to keep trying at it.
Yeah. So it just kind of comes down to the rareness of the animal and supply and demand. If there's a low supply but a high demand for it, it's going to be expensive.
Absolutely. What's the most you sold a snake for?
So This was my first year actually selling snakes. So, the females and the males, they take a good amount of time to reach maturity. And every snake I bought it as a baby. The females, they take about 2 to 3 years to reach maturity. So I told you guys I just started in 2020. I'm actually just reaching the point where all the snakes I have now are ready to breed. But my most expensive snake that I sold was about $500.
Oh, okay. That's
Yep.
what's up. So, as you started, I'm investing in the snakes, started breeding, waiting for them to hit mature age, starting getting your business together as far as logos and things like that. Have you had other people that's in this industry embrace you as they seeing you, put out videos, put out content and things like that, and just giving you, advice or giving you like uh taking you under their wing if they've been in the industry a little longer than you, just to give you little pointers here and there?
Yeah, for sure, man. There's a lot of great people in the industry. Brian Barczyk, one of those guys, he actually congratulated me on my patch in my first ball python clutch, which was so special to me because he's been, such an inspiration and role model to me growing up. I looked up to him for many years, and it was, awesome to get that congratulatory message from him. And another person who has helped me a lot is Brandon Nixon of Nixon Reptiles. He actually taught me how to ultrasound snakes. So, in order to see if there are follicles growing within the females, which eventually turn into the eggs, you can actually use an ultrasound machine to do this. He taught me how to do that, which is a game changer because it really helps you to figure out when to put that male with the female at the right time, where that female is at as far as getting close to becoming pregnant, or we call it gravid as reptile breeders. And also a local guy here in Rhode Island, his name is Ray Melise. He owns a reptile specialty store. It's called 401 Reptiles. So if you guys are ever in Rhode Island, go check it out. It's like a little mini zoo. It's really, really cool store. And any questions I have, he usually, will mentor me. He taught me how to actually sex snakes to tell if they're a boy or a girl. He's taught me a lot of different things as far as the care of them and, just, how to invest properly and build a good foundation for the breeding projects that I want to pursue. Um, but yeah, man, the community is great. I mean, you have good and bad in every community that you're in. I get a little bit of hate, but mostly love from everybody. When they see you doing it the right way and they see that you have respect for the animals and you're not just doing it for money and you're passionate about it, that goes a long way.
Absolutely. So, for people out there that have pet snakes and know some things about snakes, what would be something that that an average person that probably has a pet snake doesn't know about a snake, as far as like, because I was just thinking of something when you were saying when you put the males with the females when they get ready to breed, like do you have situations where they be aggressive towards each other, be trying to fight each other, or like, just things like that, that people might not know, like the average person?
So I personally haven't experienced the male and female being aggressive towards each other, but other people that I know have told me that they've seen like the female bite the male a few times to get him away from her if she's not feeling him. I also know if you put two male ball pythons together, they will fight.
Oh,
Um,
man.
yeah, so if you want to, so here's a little tip that I was taught by Brian Barczyk. If you're breeding snakes and you have this one male that you want to breed with this female, but he's not breeding where he's not doing nothing, he's just sitting there like not interested. He told me to put another male in there with him, and those two males started fighting. Man, it was crazy. I was like, oh my god, I didn't know that snakes did this, and uh, I only left the other male in there for maybe like 5 minutes because I didn't want to run the risk of them injuring each other and all that jazz. But after I took that other male out, the male I wanted to breed bred with the female. So pretty crazy, man.
uh, so it probably had to I guess when the male has to be with a female, uh, it has to be a little aggressive. Like when it gets in the cage with a female, it has to like initiate. So it probably like brought his spirit up, I would say.
Yeah, I think it maybe was like a little bit of like sexual competition, like survival of the fittest. Like I want to pass on my genetics, like I want to pass on, I want to keep my lineage going, basically, kind of like that. And I will say though, like when you put the males and the females together, they're usually not aggressive towards each other at all. Usually the male, if he's mature enough, he'll try to breed with the female right away. It's usually the females who are a little bit more like laid back. Like the male's got to impress the female in order for him to get it on with her. You know what I mean? Because I have a one female, man. She hated the boy I put in there. She would not let him breed with her for like almost 4 months, and then finally, he must have impressed her enough to let her breed. Let him breed. So usually the males are pretty good, but they will fight if you put them together. So if you have snakes, never keep two males together in the same cage, even as pets.
Absolutely. So two questions. What's the average lifespan of a ball python? And are males and females, which ones are bigger?
So the average lifespan of a ball python is between 20 years old to 30 years old. I believe the record is 40. The oldest ball python lived at 40 years. I believe it was at the Philadelphia Zoo that this was recorded. And females get bigger than males. Males will typically stay around 3 to 4 feet long, and females will get about 4 or 5 feet long. And the females get a lot thicker. And this is mainly because they have to carry eggs. The male doesn't have to do that, so naturally he doesn't have to be quite as big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy because I'll be looking at videos all the time, and I'll be looking at different species of snakes, and they always say that they're very like the like I was looking at regular pythons, and the difference between the female and the male size, and they always say the female is bigger in most species, and I was like, dang, like that male is like small as hell, and like the anaconda and
Yo,
pythons, they be super huge as females, like get
oh
gigantic.
yeah.
I was like, man,
Yep. So anyone out there that's thinking about getting a pet snake, if you want like a one that gets bigger, go for a female. If you want something that stays smaller, go for a male. And I tell that to my customers all the time, especially people who are like first time snake buyers. They'll ask me these questions. They'll be like, well, I want something that stays smaller, doesn't get too big. I'd say, all right, well, I would go for a male. And then they say, oh, I want something that gets big. And I'd be like, all right, well, get a female. Now the females, just based on like pricing and marketing, the females tend to be a little bit more expensive than the boys. And I think it's just because of that factor. They get a little bit bigger, and they just, they take longer to reach maturity. So, um, yeah, if you want something bigger, go for a female, especially in pythons and boas and like anacondas. The female is always going to be bigger.
so when you talk about maturity in a state in a snake, what does that details like as far as like a snake being mature, and also when it comes to feeding a snake, like as a snake is growing, like how do you gauge what size to put in there, because females are bigger, so you don't want to put it in too small or what else get hungry again quick, you know what I'm saying, like, or how do you tell it when a snake is hungry?
So, as when they're really like babies, I usually will feed them once every 5 to 7 days. So they'll eat about once a week. And usually, as a baby, I'll start them off on something small, like a hopper mouse. It's probably about this big. And I judge it by the thickest part of the snake's body. So I'll take the pet snake and I'll grab it and I'll kind of put my hand like this around it and I'll slide it down their body until I reach the thickest point of their body. And then I'll come back out and I'll have the circumference of the thickest part. And I'll try to buy a rat or mouse that's about that big around. And that's basically how you judge it. But when they're babies, I like to start them off smaller because it helps to build that confidence up of hunting. Because ball pythons are pretty shy animals, and sometimes if they have a bad experience eating or they get scared or something like that, they may stop eating, and you might not be able to get the snake to eat for a while, which is really frustrating and really annoying, and also unhealthy for the snake. You want it to eat and grow, and as far as like feeding goes, if it comes to breeding, I have certain strategies with feeding. So I do something that's called food cycling. And when I have my males ready to breed and my females ready to breed, during the summertime, I feed my male snakes really, really heavy. Like I'll give my male snakes maybe 2 or 3 rats at a sitting, whatever they'll take. They basically get a buffet. And the females, they'll just get on a maintenance diet in the summer months because they're on their off season. As we approach the winter time, which is the breeding season for ball pythons, I'll start increasing the food in the females and maintain feeding the males, because what happens in breeding, the males over time, once they get into that breeding mode, they'll stop eating. So the purpose of feeding them heavy in the summer is so that they have nice weight on them going into breeding. And if they stop eating, it won't be unhealthy. They'll have good weight. They can go a while without eating and be fine. Whereas the female, you want to get that weight on her as she's breeding, because once she becomes pregnant, she will stop eating. And if there's a surplus of food in the area that the female snake is staying, she's going to think to herself, hey, there's a lot of food here for my offspring. Let me go ahead and produce eggs. And that's kind of a way to trick them into breeding and getting a successful clutch of eggs. But I love feeding them, man. It's really the best way to tell that your snakes are healthy, and the best way to tell that your temperature is on point, the humidity is on point. It's basically like a husbandry check every week.
Okay. So, what makes a snake mature?
Oh, yes, I forgot to answer that. So with ball pythons, maturity kind of comes down to size. And some reach it faster than others. So for females, in order for them to successfully breed and reach maturity, they need to weigh 1,500 grams. Normally, this takes about 2 years to achieve. Now, for most of like the OGs and people that have been doing this for a long time, they always tell me to wait. The bigger is the better. So I like my females to get up to about 2,000 grams. And that usually takes about a year, 2 years and a half to 3 years. Now, on the other side with the males, they can be much smaller. You could get a male up to breeding size within 6 months. Um, they only need to be about 5 to 600 grams to start breeding. But I usually like them to be about a year old and about 700, 800 grams before I start pairing them with females. Unless it's a snake I'm really excited about and I don't want to wait and he's close to breeding size.
Okay. So, have you ever had a snake try to eat each other?
I have not, thankfully. No, I
Oh,
have not.
okay. So, we'll take a break from the questions, and you could just showcase some snakes so people can
Yeah,
just grab like you can start from a normal one to the to some of the rare ones that you have. They got the rare genetics and things like that, and you can just you got the floor. You can just tell us whatever you want about the snake, how long you had it, or whatever the case might be.
yeah, cool, cool. Let me just get up 1 second and grab them.
Uh,
So
that's one of my favorites.
this is the closest I have to a normal. So this is called a leopard ball python. And this was one of the babies I hatched out last year. It's actually sold already. I'm just waiting for the weather to get better for shipping. It's too cold, so I'm just holding it for the customer right now. But this is pretty much what they look like in the wild. They'll have that brown pattern with the black as well. And this girl is also 100% het for albino and clown, which are both recessive genes, like I was explaining to you guys earlier. So this girl potentially could make a white and yellow snake with red eyes if you breed her to the right male. So she is carrying those genes. It's like in dogs, I think they call them carriers, right? Like they'll call them like carrier for Fluffy or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically the same thing, but she is absolutely beautiful. And I'll show you guys her mom too, and you guys can see the drastic difference between the two of them because she's big.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
man.
might have to stand up to show you guys her, but this is that girl's mom right here. She is a beast.
Yeah, she's big, boy.
Yeah, she's awesome, dude. But I raised the snake from a little tiny baby. She will be 4 years old in May. Um, and she's just awesome, brother. She's a proven breeder, so that means she successfully has bred. And I'm actually not breeding her right now. Currently, I am waiting a little bit longer because she laid her eggs in July of last year, and I wanted to give her at least like 6, 7, 8 months off from going through that whole process before I started breeding her again. But she is an albino leopard, so like I was telling you guys, that little baby snake I showed you that is her daughter can potentially make something that looks like this. So really, really cool. And as you guys can see, she's not trying to bite me or attack me. She's really, really calm and chill. And when I bought this girl, she was about $800. So pretty expensive snake, and one of my first investment snakes right here. So really, really awesome snake. But let's show you guys some rare stuff, and you guys will probably look at me like I'm crazy when I tell you the price I paid for some of these.
Hey, one question.
Yeah.
Uh, when snakes get grown and you still have their parents and stuff, do they be knowing like that's their daughter, or is it just like it's just like a detachment, like you know what I'm saying?
So, I can't say for certain that they do or don't. I assume they don't. Maybe they do by smell, but I know with pythons specifically, they'll basically guard the eggs until they hatch, and once they hatch, those babies are on their own. And they're basically, you know,
And
uh the babies are basically equipped with everything they need to survive in the wild once they come out of that egg. And then the mom, she just goes on her way and does her thing.
mm,
So I'm not sure, but I took a picture of one of the babies next to her mom, and it was really, really cool to see the mini version up against the big version. Really, really cool picture. I'll send it to you as well so you can see it.
oh,
But let me grab something rare. Let's check out something really rare. So I actually just recently got this guy right here, and he's being kind of shy right now. But check out the color on this thing, man. And for you guys out there that wonder why they call them ball pythons, this is why. As a defense mechanism, instead of biting, they roll up into a ball and they tuck their head into the middle of it to avoid their head being bitten by predators in the wild. As a snake, their only defense mechanism is to bite, which is their head. So predators automatically go for the head every time to try to kill them, rip it off so they can go ahead and eat them. But this guy is awesome. Let me see if I can get him to unwrap so you guys can see him. But look at how cool the pattern is on this dude.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So this guy, his mutation is called a blackhead red gene dreamsicle. So he's expressing two incomplete dominant genes and two recessive genes. And I paid about 2,000 for this guy. So pretty big investment snake, but he's a male. So the cool thing about getting an expensive male that has a lot of genes and is powerful is I can put this guy to like five different females and pass his genetics to all those girls. And some of those girls might be just as rare as him. So, you know, if you're investing into something, I always tell people make sure you have a good foundation. Always buy the best quality you can, and what fits within your budget, you know?
Absolutely. I think that snake would go good with that female you just had.
Yeah, yeah, definitely will. So, um, he is actually lavender albino, where she's a regular albino. Now, the difference is I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but you see where all the white is on his body?
Yeah.
That's going to turn purple as he gets older. So
Oh,
all this white is going to turn purple. That's why they call him a lavender albino.
man,
So
that's,
he's actually going to change color as he gets older.
yeah, I never seen one that was purple.
Yeah, it's really cool. You can kind of see it towards his head. I don't know how good the lighting is, but do you see his head lavender on the screen?
Yeah, yeah, I see the difference.
Kind of like purple. So yeah, he's really awesome. His name is Takeoff. R.I.P. Takeoff. I have a lot of snakes named after rappers, man. So we're gonna have a good time today.
Man, how you keep up with all their names? You just put it on a cage or
Oh man, I just know it, man. I just am so obsessed with all of them. I just know their names, man. It's like they're like my pets too. At the end of the day, they're an investment, but they're still my pets. All right, let's check out another one. So this is a really cool one too, right here. Now
that's a
this girl, her name is Ferrari. She's about a year and a half old, so she's almost ready to breed. She should be ready this upcoming year, and she's got some decent size on her. If I can get her to stretch out a little bit, you guys could just see how big she is.
she's fat, boy.
Yeah, she's a thick girl. And the thing I love about this snake is check out how like the side it's white in some areas, and then you got the pattern on top. She's like a two-tone snake. It's pretty cool. Now, this was one of the most expensive snakes I bought in the beginning. I paid about 5,000 for this snake,
Wow.
and I haven't seen this exact mutation created ever again since I bought it. I think me and the guy who I bought it from are the only people who have it at the moment. So definitely will be a game changer once she's ready to breed. And I'll show you guys the boy she's going to go with. He's really, really cool. And he's another snake that is on that level, as far as, being a one of one mutation.
Yeah, do you
So
have any babies currently right now?
I don't have any eggs yet currently. I should be getting eggs around May to like August. So they usually lay their eggs in the summertime. Right now we're full on breeding. And I might have some snakes breeding if you guys want to check it out real quick. They might actually be having sex right now.
Yeah, yeah, that'd
I'll
be
bring the camera over there with me. Now on this, am I able to flip it like to the back camera at all?
let me see.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yep.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna put the camera down to put her back, and then we'll check. to see if those guys are breeding. Oh yes, they are breeding. Let's go. So I get really excited when I see this, you guys. It's freaking awesome. Let's check it out so you guys can see what snake sex looks like. So you guys see him right there?
Yep.
So this
Man.
is my big girl. Her name is Zanny. She is a lavender albino. So that's what the lavender albino looks like as it gets big. You see what I'm talking about with the purple?
Yep.
And then this is my boy Drake right here. Um, and as you guys can see, he's got his tail wrapped under hers. This is what we call a snake lock. And this is basically them breeding. Now they could stay locked like this for up to like 3 days. Um, so when I checked on them last night, they weren't locked up. So they must have just locked up this morning or late last night.
Okay. So after 3 days, you take them out the cage, or is it I don't
So as soon as he unlocks with her, I'll take him out and I'll move him to the next female because he's actually breeding with three different females. This is one of his girlfriends right here.
oh man.
Yeah, he's a stud, man. He's a pimp.
Man.
I'll show you guys his other girlfriends while I'm here though too. This is one of his girlfriends right here. This girl, and there she just shed her skin too, which is pretty cool. If you guys check that out. But this is my girl Aria. So she's called an albino clown, which is really really cool. Beautiful, beautiful snake. This snake goes for about 800 bucks. Pretty common mutation nowadays, but still a pretty expensive snake. And then his other girlfriend is right in here. Now, this is a big girl right here. So this is called the banana clown. And as you guys can see, she kind of looks similar to Drake, right? Like the pattern and everything. Just the color's a little bit different.
Do you have all of them on the same feeding schedule?
Yeah, so the adults I do, I try to feed all of them the same day just because it's easier for me to get all the rats at one shot because I don't breed the rats right now. I buy them from that guy I was telling you guys about, Ray Malise from 401 Reptiles. So usually every 10 days I feed these guys unless they're going into shed. I won't feed them if they're in shed because usually they won't eat. But yeah, I feed these guys all the same day and
Okay.
it takes me about an hour to feed them all.
Well, how many snakes do you have currently right
But
now?
so currently I have 34 snakes. I have 26 females and 8 males.
Hmm.
So I got a pretty good ratio going. I hooked my boys up. But I'll show you guys my most expensive snake right here. And then his girlfriend is my second most expensive snake. So I can't wait to breed these two guys together. It's going to be awesome.
So your most expensive one is a male.
Yeah, he's a male. He's a male. And anyone out there, if you're thinking about getting into breeding snakes and you want to do investment quality snakes, spend your money on your male. You won't regret it. So this guy right here, this is my boy Future, and he is awesome, dude. Just check him out. Look at the color on that thing. Have you ever seen a snake that looks like this before, Eric?
Nope.
So he's got a lot of different genes. If you guys look at his name tag, these are all the different genes he has. Very,
Wow.
very powerful snake genetically.
Dang, that's crazy.
So this guy, I paid $6,000 for him, and he's a beast. And he's actually sexually mature. So, like I was telling you guys, the males they stay much smaller than the females. And if you guys think back to when, I'll just show you again, so you guys can get that kind of idea of the size difference. You guys, look how much bigger that female is than the boy.
Yeah.
Way bigger. Now, Drake, he's about a year old. This girl will be 4 years old in April.
So, when are snakes like aggressive towards their owners? Like, like, or is it any case that they be a little like not in the mood or?
Um, I have a couple of them that are kind of like that, that could be like kind of cranky sometimes, but for the most part, they're pretty chilled. I will say the time you're most likely to get bit is when you're feeding them because that smell of the rodents being in the room just gets these guys into like a feeding mode and they know they're in here. Like as soon as I bring those rats into the room, they act different, believe me. Because at the end of the day, man, they're still a predator. Like they're gonna react based off of their natural instincts. You know, don't get me wrong, I love these snakes behind me, but at the end of the day, I know they don't love me back. Like just the kind of animal it is, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I always was fascinated by snakes growing up, especially the real big ones, like how they able to eat whole canids and deers and stuff like that. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Like them big Bernese pythons is able to eat
Yup.
real big animals.
Dude, I remember watching like Animal Planet as a kid and thinking the same thing, being like, wow, I can't believe a snake can swallow like a antelope or a gazelle like 10 times the size of its head, and they just eat that thing and they sit there for months and don't have to eat again. I thought that was crazy, like how long they can go without eating. Now the longest I've ever had a snake go without eating was one of my males. He stopped eating for 9 months for no
Dang,
reason, no reason at all. He was completely healthy, just didn't want to eat.
dang. Did you ever figure out why, or it was just
um I think it was because he wanted to breed really badly. So one of I think the negative things of keeping the males and females close to each other or in the same room is that they can sense each other, they can smell each other. So like if I have a male who's sexually mature, he might be smelling a female that's not ready to breed yet, and it might make him want to stop eating because he wants to go and breed with her. So sometimes I have to separate the males out that I'm not breeding because they'll go into breeding mode and they won't want to eat.
mm. Yeah, so have you ever had any bad experiences with snakes, like snakes that just had freak accidents and end up dying or things like that?
Yes, yes. So one a really sad situation was when I moved back to Rhode Island from Florida after graduating chiropractic school. Like I said, I think by the time I moved back, I had almost 12 snakes. So me and my buddy, we drove all the way from Florida, packed all the snakes up, brought them in his car, drove all the way from Florida back to Rhode Island. And when I got back, the room I currently keep them in now, it didn't have air conditioning at the time. And it was during the summertime when I moved back. And I guess the heating pad that I had had under the cage must have malfunctioned and it actually burned the belly of my snake.
Oh,
Um, and I tried to clean the wound. I spoke with the veterinarian. They gave me advice on what to do as far as cleaning it and disinfecting the wound. But what happened is, since we didn't have air conditioning in the room at the time, I didn't realize her stomach was burnt because I didn't go and like lift her up and check her belly or anything. She looked normal. So I sprayed the cage with water and this caused what's called scale rot, which is like a fungus that eats at the scales of the snake. And if your snake has an injury or an open wound or anything, this infection can happen really fast. And that's basically what happened with this snake. It became necrotic and she ended up passing away. I wasn't able to save her, which really sucked. Um, and it was definitely devastating. I love that snake. She was the third snake that I ever bought. She was a piebald, so She was a really beautiful morph. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of those, but it's basically the one that has like random white with the splotches of pattern on it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
She was one of those. So really, really terrible situation. And when things happen like that, man, it makes you want to give up in whatever field you're in. Like, well, I remember that day, I was very upset and I was like, man, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore. Like, I can't, take the heartache of losing my pets. But my parents were like, just keep at it, do it for her, make a baby that looks just like her. So that's one of my goals is to make one of those babies, and I'm gonna name it Venom, which was her name. So that was one bad experience. And then the only other snake I had die was like a freak accident. The first one I kind of blame myself because I should have checked that and I should have had that heating pad on the thermostat. But at the time, I didn't know what that was. I was still learning, so that was definitely a mistake I'll never forget. Now all the heat I got in here is controlled on the thermostat. It only gets to a certain temperature, and if it goes above that temperature, the thermostat shuts it right off. So I'll never have that problem again. But the other snake that I had that died, this was an expensive snake too. I paid about 2,500 for this snake, and it was doing great, eating, acting normal, growing. And one day, I just came in the snake room, and I smelled something really bad. Like it smelled like something like had died in here, and I was like, "Uh oh, this can't be good." So I start opening like the tubs, checking the cages to see what's going on, and I come across the snake that's actually dead. And I have no idea what happened to it. I came in, opened the tub. The snake had actually thrown up the rat that I fed it. The rat was in there, like it was disgusting, man. It was like half digested. It was just nasty. So she threw it up, which is called regurgitation, and then she was just dead. I have no idea what was wrong with her. When I touched her body, she felt very like bloated, like filled with fluid. So I'm not sure if maybe she had like some sort of like internal organ failure, or if she maybe had a parasite of some sort that I wasn't aware of. Um, but yeah, that was another bad situation, and another financial loss right there too. I mean, $2,500 right down the drain like that.
Mm. Yeah. So as far as the branding of Balls of Fury, like where can people get merch and gear and I'm pretty sure you have a website too, right? Like where people can see like snakes that you have for sale and things like that.
So I'm actually in the process of having my own website made at the moment, and also merch. I just got a really good merch connect, so he's working on getting all the stuff to me, and I'll put a link in my bio on Instagram where you could get that stuff. But if you guys want to see the snakes I have available, there is a link in my bio on Instagram. It's called my Morph Market Store. It's a website where they sell all sorts of reptiles, and as a seller, you can post your animals on there. So you guys could check that link out. It is in the bio of my Instagram, and it's also in the bio of my TikTok channel as well.
No, absolutely, man. So do you have anything else you want to show the people as far as snakes and some that you other snakes that you have?
Ah, let's see. I'll show you guys one more snake. I didn't get to show you guys Future's girlfriend, the other snake that he's gonna go to. So she's right down here. She's gorgeous, man. I love this snake. So again, this is another snake, and you guys see that she's got like the pink dots on her.
Yeah.
Awesome. Her name is Nova, and the name of her mutation is a confusion starburst. And this is one of Future's girlfriends right here. So just imagine their two mutations combined, man. How cool that's gonna look.
Yeah.
And this girl costed me 5,000.
Dang.
Yeah, so she was an expensive one. Is there any type of ball python mutation you like, Eric, that you want me to show? Like from my page, have you seen one that you really want me to show?
Um, you showed the two rare ones that I was thinking about. I know the ones that I've seen on YouTube, I'm glad you brought up the one that you had the bad experience about, because that's the one that was one of my favorite patterns. They had the black and brown normal, and then the tail is kind of white.
This one right here, right?
Yep, yep, that one right there. And
Yeah, she's
I seen
gorgeous.
one that was similar like that, but they have like yellow in it.
Yep. So right above it, I have one like that too that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are what some of my favorite ones, man. But anytime, bro, I bring someone in here who has nothing or knows nothing about snakes that, and I show them this snake right here, they're blown away.
Yeah, that's a real popular I mean a real good color right there. Do
Yeah, she's beautiful. Her name is Versace. She's awesome.
you, do you got I know you love all your snakes, but do you have any favorites?
Oh, yeah, I do have favorites. I'm not gonna lie. Um, the one takeoff I showed you at the beginning, he's definitely one of my favorites. Um, and then just based off of like personality, uh, I think I'm gonna have to say off of personality, I think Drake might be my favorite off of personality. He's funny, man. Like he's one of them snakes that just like will bluff. Like he'll hiss at me and stuff, but he's such a faker, man. Like he will never bite me, nothing like that. He's just like grumpy. I don't know. I like it. He's funny. He has like a little attitude. So I'd say Drake and Takeoff are probably my two favorites.
Okay. So as far as ball of fury, ball pythons, man, when people come across balls of fury, ball pythons, what can people expect as far as like what you have to come in the future, like future plans? You got the website coming, merch and things like that. What do you have coming as far as or content, things like that?
So you guys can definitely expect to see some really cool snakes getting hatched out soon. We'll have a lot more snakes available because currently I'm almost sold out, man. And I want to thank everybody out there that bought snakes from us this year. You guys are awesome. And I was kind of in shock at how many people inquired about some of the snakes that were available. So thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate that. But I'm going to go really hard on YouTube this year. I want to put out a lot of YouTube content, longer content, and kind of touch on more educational stuff to help people who are trying to get into this, but maybe don't have like a mentor or something like that. So I'm definitely trying to do a little bit more mentoring. Um, I also have on my platform on Instagram some a subscriptions page where you could subscribe for about $1 a month, and you have full access to me. You could ask me any questions you want. I'll help you with any problems you're having, help you kind of determine what you want to invest in or what projects you're thinking about doing. Um, and then also, I hope to work at a reptile expo soon. So, like I was telling you guys early in the video, the reptile expo is kind of like a convention for sellers to go to, almost like a dog show, where you can go showcase your animals. So once I start doing that, you guys could come there and actually meet me in person, look at all the animals in person. We could chop it up, have a great time. And as far as Balls of Furies goes, man, I'm just trying to continue to grow. I want to do this as a full time thing at some point. It's kind of like my retirement plan. And I want to continue to motivate people to believe in themselves, to follow their dreams, do what they love to do. And just want to share my passion with everybody. And if they like it, great. If they don't like it, they don't got to watch me.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I think it's a very cool thing what you're doing, man, with the snakes and things like that. I always been into reptiles. I only had one snake, but I had a turtle. You know, I was real attached to my turtle, man. My turtle died when I went to basic training. I had a turtle like my whole childhood. It's like the size of my hand, and they could swim and walk on land, but and it was real easy to maintenance because all their food came in a little can. So all you had to do was just switch the water out and feed it twice a day. But
Yep, yep. Yeah, they're pretty low maintenance pets for the most part. And what I will say too that not a lot of people realize is that you do develop bonds with these animals, man. And even though they're reptiles and people say, "Oh, they don't love you. They just want to eat everything or whatever. They're cold-blooded killers." I'm telling you, dude, my snakes know who I am. Like when I come in this room, like they'll come out of their hiding places to look at me, and they recognize you by the way you smell. That's one of their strongest sense is smell. So you develop bonds with them, just like I was saying. Like I know the personality of Drake and like a lot of these different snakes. They all have different personalities. It's pretty cool, and I think a lot of people underestimate how smart they are. Um, they're definitely smart animals. So I think, you know, we need to turn people's fear of them into respect. You don't have to like them, but at least respect them because they are an important part of the ecosystem and they're an important part of, just the food chain in general.
absolutely. Yeah. So you have any last words that you want people to know that you about what you have going on?
I mean, all I want to say to you guys is if you haven't already checked us out, go check us out. I think everybody will really enjoy the content we bring to the table. I post a lot of funny stuff too, so if you guys want a good laugh, go check out our reels. I'm always posting funny videos and cool things with the snakes. Um, and I'd also tell you guys if you want to get a snake, join the recessive gang. That's the gang I'm promoting right now, the recessive gang. Go get your recessive morph, and just be kind to people, man. If you come across somebody who's having a bad day, help them out. Be good to people. Be passionate about what you do, love what you do, work hard at it. And if you do that, you could achieve anything, man. And that's basically what I'm doing. I'm just a regular person. I just have a big social media following, which I'm thankful and blessed to have. But at the end of the day, I'm just a normal guy like you, and I'm a normal guy like everybody else who's going to watch this video. So, just be good to people and work hard and follow your dreams and do what you love.
Absolutely, man. And I appreciate you coming on the show. Anytime you want to come on, man, you got my number, so you can hit me up anytime. And I don't just do interviews and talk about real stuff too. So, if you got something you might come across in your personal life, might think it's a good podcast topic, because sometimes I have 3 or 4 people on here at a time and we just be talking about real life stuff, whether that be relationship problems or family issues or whatever the case might be. Because I like to touch on real topics that I know people are gonna come across at some point in their life when they get older. So
Yeah, man, I'm definitely down for that. For sure. We'll make that happen again soon. I had a great time, bro. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, man. I know we've been trying to get this going for a long time, so I'm glad we finally get to sit down and do it. I had an awesome time. I love your podcast, man. I'm going to definitely continue supporting it and watching you because I definitely am looking forward to seeing you grow. You bring a lot of cool stuff to the podcast game, and I think there's some big things in your future as well. So I'm definitely thankful for you having me on today. So
yeah, no problem. So everybody out there, go check out Balls of Fury Ball Pythons on Instagram. Go follow him. Go scroll through some of his content if you're into reptiles or even if you're not into reptiles, you'll find something cool and interesting that you never knew about a snake besides the obvious thing and them swallowing their food, you know what I'm saying? But
Yep, come check us out. We'll teach you guys about snakes.
yeah, be on the lookout for that for the merch for anybody that's
Absolutely.
involved for from the beginning, get some of the cool merch. I like the color patterns you got on right now.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'll get you hooked up with one. I actually should be getting the shipment very soon. So once I get that, I'm gonna hit you up and we'll get you hooked up.
Oh, absolutely.